we're live. Cool. Thank you, Kenny, for being here. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thank you for having me.
We were just saying that it's like super good timing because your auction piece on Super Rare is just about to go live, or is dropping now, right?
Right this minute. It'll be a 3-day auction beginning today and ending on Monday.
And let me just share my screen quickly so we can see the piece together. And this is a collaboration between you and Jerry Salz, correct?
Yes.
Cool.
Well, it's not my art, it's his work. And I'm sort of the midwife for it because he is terminally fearful of technology. So we've known each other for decades. So really, I'm just sort of helping birth this project. And I've also earmarked a share, 50% of the proceeds, to the American Foundation for the Prevention of Suicide.
Okay, cool. And what is this piece? Do you want to like quickly, talk about it?
Well, no, just kidding. Jerry, in the beginning, Jerry was adamantly against and dismissive of what is probably the most divisive phenomenon in the history of art, probably in the last 1,000 years at least. And then he came around. So before he came around, he was also very much critical of Mike Winkelmann's 5,000 Every Days. And as it turns out, there was a good portion of those pieces that were pretty blatantly misogynistic and racist. So this was kind of a right post against that piece in a way, or a comment upon it. But I guess in a sense, it also reflects the fact that even the most critical group of people that are against NFTs are what my kid calls peanut butter and jealous. Everyone wants a piece of the action. At the same time, they decry it because it has become a bit of a gold rush, even though, now people are rejoicing in the fact that overall NFTs are off like 80%. Some numbers have been bandied around in the last month, but they're also up 1,000% before that. So, it's a healthy thing that this becomes a mature and normalized dissemination system for buying and selling art, in this case, digital art. So I couldn't care less, and I think it's all great fun. It's a little bit, it should be more discerning, and I made a comment that everyone and their grandmother who has a camera roll or has ever taken a lousy picture of a sunset or a screenshot of any old screen are now bona fide NFT artists. I actually minted my grandmother after saying that so many times and sold her, not for very much money, I'm afraid. But anyway, I just think it's all, I'm a participant and an observer. I write on the topic. I teach NFTs now. I gave a lecture at School of Visual Arts, which is available on YouTube, which is rammed with information as a resource tool for people. And I have an unquenchable thirst to learn as much as I can all the time. For someone who shied away from having any crypto interest at all, I was stupidly dismissive of the whole Bitcoin culture, but I've made digital art for 30 years. So even though I'm not exactly a spring chicken, I would say into late middle age, I've embraced digital art from day one, often to the expense of me ever having a market or a way to sell my art. So thousands and thousands of people that have toiled in making digital art with little or no audience or no commercial way to benefit from the work, I've really, this has really shaken up my life in a fundamental way.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I wanted to get your definition. So what is an NFT to you? What is the meaning of NFT?
Really,
Specifically to you.
it has no meaning to me at all. It's just a dissemination system for communicating, buying and selling, and collecting digital artwork. So, like I said, I made my first digital animations in the early 90s, and I was making computer printouts on vinyl or paper that were exhibited in before the term pop-up even existed. They were called like hit and run exhibitions, and I employed digital means to make art. So now what an NFT means for me primarily is that, well, number one, NFTs, the selling of them in this NFT universe is an entire, mostly I would say 90% as of a few weeks ago, an entirely new audience to reach outside of the typical traditional gallery world norm. So in a way, I mean, it's great to be able to have a new audience. It's great to have a new methodology within which to distribute my pieces rather than just in a bricks and mortar space in an isolated gallery somewhere. And even in a, I mean, and also to be able to have a 10% residual in perpetuity is an extraordinary shift in the commercialization of fine art. It's fabulous. And in a way, if the art world wasn't so boringly, I understand the drawbacks. I'm very well aware of the environmental impact. I mean, identity theft, copyright infringement, blah, blah. I know, I'm very well versed in all of, in my lecture at School of Visual Arts, I spent maybe more than the time speaking about artists and the positives of this situation than addressing all of the concerns, which are obviously valid. Nevertheless, you know, yeah, it's just a way, first of all, the art world, you would think if they weren't so stupidly backwards looking, they would jump up and down and dance in the street, that there's a whole new universe of buyers for an art world that it gets pretty stagnant after a while. So this is just absolutely nothing less than revolutionary in and of itself. And it's a market that's open 24 hours a day and is accessible geographically all over the map. So that's extraordinary. And yes, it costs some money to dip in and mint, but I would say the fees are relatively low. They'll be going down more and more and more drastically as this whole situation becomes more commodified. Not commodified making money, but the transaction fees will go down as there's more and more platforms and some of the crypto problems of ETH get resolved.
Lots of points there. I wanted to go back to the traditional art, like traditional art world, and you know, their concerns and their criticism. Like, what is the biggest criticism that they have for NFTs?
I mean, the criticism that they talk about, or what they're really frightened of. They're scared of losing control.
Both.
It's all about, the gallerists have one real power today, and that's, as behind me it says, gatekeepers of the world's worst curators. And this is all about control, plain and simple. So in 10 minutes, every gallery in the world will be minting their NFTs for their artists. It's happening now, and there's just, you know, people, it's a natural human inclination to push something away that's new because of fear. People are just scared that there's something new that they don't know about, they don't understand. It may take away some of their power base, some of their money. So first of all, I mean, look, you never heard a single outcry about the environmental, I mean, okay, I'm exaggerating. There have been obviously some complaints of the past years. But for instance, when you ship a painting or a sculpture, you use a single-use wooden crate, which is 9 times out of 10 disposed of after the conclusion of its, after the work is shipped. Also, I mean, you get on a plane and go to an art fair. I'm living in New York City right now, and I was covering in my column for ArtNet and sometimes the art newspaper, this kind of like covering the art fair beat. There were 50 art fairs in the year 2000. Right before COVID struck, there were slated to be 360 art fairs. But like living in New York City, where there's about 1 trillion art galleries, I mean, you're basically getting on a plane and going to an art fair, and you're seeing 20% of the galleries that are not in your backyard, but are in your front yard. So there's a lot of waste in air travel and excessive shipping consumption costs, environmentally speaking. Also, one of the other, I mean, yeah, I guess it's mainly just a matter of losing that kind of strong iron grip on who's selling the art and who's making the commissions. Because, I mean, it's not like the NFT land doesn't have its own set of gratuitous and not altogether fabulous gatekeepers. If you want to drop something on Nifty Gateway, good luck, because they're backed up for the next century. And Super Rare and Makerspace and all of those sites. Although, I mean, and also there's a difference between uploading something on OpenSea and the exposure and the possibility for, you know, orchestrating a sale versus one of the more controlled popular sites. Also, I mean, for me, sorry, one last quick thing. The most ridiculous thing, as far as like, I mean, I envisioned before, I've done a lot of different things professionally, and before I got into the fine art world 30 years ago, I had this crazy notion that everyone in the art world were like drinking absinthe and hanging from the chandeliers and having orgies or whatever. I'm being a little bit flippant and joking, of course. But the art world is so, like I said, it's the most conservative industry, more so than law and banking and for galleries, like COVID is basically, I mean, NFTs in the last 6 months came as this kind of perfect storm where many people from all over the world are locked down as a result of the tragedy, ongoing tragedy that's COVID, that isn't going away anytime soon. You're gonna need a vaccine from your vaccine, the way things are going now. And with people cooped up, sitting in front of their computers, I think my record was like 16 hours in one day of screen time, which I'm quite proud about, I have to say. 16 hours and 7 minutes is my record. But, and like galleries have this thing called OVR, which is online viewing room. And I mean, this is meant to be like an innovation, technologically speaking, for the art world. It's a fucking website, excuse my language. It's not even a glorified website because they're just websites. So COVID, by default, aside from the human toll, and I'm a long haul sufferer myself and still get chronic headaches and fatigue, but COVID was a kick in the ass to the world to take a closer look and start to assimilate technology in a much more meaningful way than they had in the past.
Definitely. I completely agree. And for sure, probably, you know, this revolution or, you know, NFTism and however you want to call it, was definitely pushed in by the situation that we're living and everybody kind of being, you know, locked in some way or form. But I want to go back to kind of a few points that you touched on. The first one is gatekeepers. So obviously, you know, gatekeepers in the traditional world, who are they? Gallerists, auction houses, and what's the difference between the gatekeepers in NFT world?
Zero.
Okay.
No,
and so
I found out about NFTs in September. I met an artist, Olive Allen. She told me about it, and then I turned my head sideways like a confused dog, and then she mentioned Kenny Scharf had done a few, and I thought, oh, Kenny's a good friend of mine. We share the first 9 letters of our name, and I make digital art, so that immediately appealed to me. So I dropped 3 NFTs. She introduced me to Tommy Kimmelman, who's chief financial officer. He's curator and among a million other different roles that he plays. And I sold 3 pieces, edition of 1, 5, and 10. I made, I think, $4,000, and I was quite pleased because it was a new opportunity that didn't, for me, exist on any level. So I was grateful from the start, and immediately it dawned on me from that moment that this was going to have a profound, everlasting impact on the art world. Because you think of like David Hockney, even though even he has come out moaning about NFTs, he's 90 years old and he makes iPad drawings famously. Wouldn't you rather own a digital file of his iPad drawing than a stupid printout from Pace Gallery for a couple $100,000? I'd rather own the file and print it out myself or decide how I would like to display it. So anyway, I immediately took pen to paper, so to speak, or fingers to keyboard, and I wrote a short piece on Instagram, my forecast for the year 2021. And like I said, I mean, people just talk about another way the art world and the whole world rips on NFTs are about money, 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 money. All of the things the art world complained about in relationship to NFTs were all of the things that the art world is about 2,000% guilty of doing themselves. Money laundering. How do you see the NFTs? They stay in your wallet. Well, most voracious art collectors employ free ports to store their work, and oftentimes never even see their work before they buy it, then they sell it on to another owner. So anyway, I wrote this little thing for the art newspaper, came out January 4th, and I said, if you don't know what NFTs are, you're either too old or you will know soon. And I wrote that and it was published. Then I tried to do another drop with Nifty Gateway and they said no. They unequivocally and flatly rejected me. Same way that David Zorner wouldn't show my work, Larry Gagosian surely wouldn't show my work, nor would Hauser and Wirth or Pace Gallery exhibit my art. So after the art newspaper followed up from my article and published one of my pieces from my first drop with Nifty Gateway of this Donald Trump is a pig in this cartoon cell saying like, that's all folks. Then I just simply called up Nifty Gateway and said, come on, I got you your first legitimate press in the fine art world. Give me another opportunity. And they did. And then I immediately I was writing my first feature for ArtNet. I've now written 3 and I'll have another one next week, my 4th on NFTs. And then I had a second drop, which look, the art world and the world itself is a hustle. There are no opportunities that are just handed to you, nor should there be. There's no free lunches, and you have to create your opportunities. I don't believe in luck. I think that you create your own luck. So I hustled my way into a second drop. And again, like I was talking about money, this is a really important aspect of me sitting here talking to you. I mean, my second drop came as I was putting the finishing touches on the edit of my first NFT article. Again, my expectations in life are pretty much less than zero, like 6 degrees less than zero. And I'm rarely disappointed because things rarely work out.
We can't hear you anymore. You did something with your, you touched something. No. No.
Okay, now?
Yes, but we can't see you.
You're lucky, that's a gift.
You were such on a roll. It was so interesting.
Oh wait, and just forget see me. You've seen enough. I'm old and tired. Let me just finish this because the only way I'll get it to work again. I mean, let me see. Anyway, when I never got into NFTs for money. I never expected I would make $5. When I made $4,000, I was grateful because that was $4,000 more than I would have made under the normal circumstances at that point in my life. So I was, again, like the importance or the impact that NFTs were going to play in the art world occurred to me very early because I write, I teach, and I'm always kind of, my antennas are up and I'm super aware. This is really this is my life 24/7. I don't go to movies. I don't go to theater. I don't have any hobbies. I love art. That's what I do. That's a full-time life, not even a job. So anyway, when I was having my second Nifty Gateway release, I thought I would make another $4,000 or $5,000, and I was finishing my first feature on the subject, and then I did really well financially, better than I was flabbergasted. I wasn't even checking, like at first only one email came in. I didn't even know my pieces were in open edition. I've never checked who bought them. Someone told me Elon Musk bought one of my pieces. I mean, cool. That's really nice. But like, I just don't give a fuck. And I didn't check. I was too nervous to even check the emails coming in. And only one email came in. And I finally looked and I had like 7,000 in my account. And then just, it went silent. So I just thought, well, that's that. That's much better than I did the first time. And then there was apparently like there was me and a few other artists were being sold that night, and then they crashed the system of Nifty Gateway. And then all of a sudden I got, in a matter of like an hour, I got 650 emails, and I had sold like 500 plus works. And then of course there are people that are flipping them instantly. And because I get 10%, I couldn't care less. Even if I'm selling a sculpture or a photograph, if someone decides they don't want it anymore, who am I to say they shouldn't flip it and resell it? I couldn't give a rat's ass. As long as there's someone, I usually feel guilty when I sell an art piece. And then like, I'm so grateful and appreciative. And if someone else wants it or changes their mind, I don't care. I'm very laissez-faire about once something enters the stream of commerce. Anyway, and then I had a second drop and it did really well. And I made a chunk of money, which is like paying for my house. Like I'm trying to buy a house I live in. I'm too old to keep moving. And they wouldn't give me another drop until late into May, although I certainly tried again to hasten the interval between drops. But, that's it.
So basically what you're saying is that the gatekeepers in the traditional world, who are, gallerists and auction houses, are platforms in NFT.
There's no difference between like owning a great art gallery and being the decision maker about who gets to get a foothold into the gallery program as being the curator at, Super Rare, Makerspace, Foundation. I mean, yeah, although there are sites like Rarible and OpenSea, and look, there's been a 1,000 new platforms that have been established in the last month. So there's more and more opportunities for artists, but it doesn't make it any easier. If you show at Gagosian or you show at one of the big galleries, you're going to have an easier time selling because they have a constituency of buyers. And it's this absolutely indistinguishable from trying to get your stuff at one of the, bigger NFT platforms. Yeah,
that's a good point. Actually, on the OpenSea and Rarible front, I know you recently curated a exhibition and also a drop. Correct me if I'm wrong, from Kevin Abosch, which dropped on OpenSea, right?
I wish I had something to do with Kevin's recent drop of 1,000 NFTs on OpenSea because he killed it. And I am curating probably one of the, like, in the fine art world, like I know there's already an NFT dedicated gallery in New York City. They do a lot of street art called Super Chief, great initiative, but not really, I'm not a street art person per se, but I am curating an exhibition called Breadcrumbs, Art in the Age of NFTism. I think I may have, well, that's stupid to say, but NFTism, I love that word. I even registered on the name registry ETH service. But I'm curating a show at a gallery in Cologne, Germany called Nagel Draxler. That was postponed. It was meant to open this week or next week at the 23rd. But I mean, Europe is so far behind the United States in their COVID vaccination program. It's shocking, to be honest. I was supposed to have a show in Vienna. They just re-locked down. I mean, I'm in New York City and things are wide open. And vaccinations are moving along rapidly. But anyway, and England too, where you are. But so this show is this is one of the top galleries for a stalwart in conceptual art. So I'm having my point is that if you came into my house in New York, where I have a studio set up of my works, you would walk in and see photographs, paintings, sculptures, vinyl prints of my writing attached to the walls like wallpaper, but pretty much every single thing, including a painting on canvas, which I happen to have made in China because I can't paint a line. But all of these things emanate from digital art. They're all digital pieces. So I'm super excited about this installation in Cologne. There's going to be a simultaneous NFT drop, probably on OpenSea as a collection under the rubric of the gallery's name. But you're going to see the craziest installation, and you will see it because I'll be, of course, posting the crap out of it, like I always do. And it's going to look like an extraordinary, I hope and trust that it'll just look like a fantastic exhibition. Art is art. End of the discussion. I don't care if you distribute it through an NFT. I mean, there's great art that conceptually employs the whole crypto world, like Kevin's work, or Anna Riddler and Sarah Friend. And there's a whole host of great artists that also utilize the world of NFTs as part and parcel of the content of their work. And when you walk into this exhibition in Cologne, or you see pictures of it, you're going to see a wild, fantastically, aesthetically attractive and appealing art exhibition. The fact is that even the paintings will have come or have some digital relationship, and this is just an art show. NFTs are, art. Some of the NFTs are the art themselves, or some of the NFTs are a reflection of, a digital file of some stripe. Really, I am an artist and a writer on art and a teacher of art. And whether it's a painting on canvas, a sculpture in bronze or plastic, or I don't care what, or a digitally derived photograph or anything, I am in the world of art, and that's all I care about besides my kids. So this whole talk is almost kind of absurd and superfluous. Really, we're just talking about art. And what's the difference? We live in a technological age. Art is meant to reflect technology and society, economics, politics, psychology, all of these different realms that impact upon our lives. And it's about emotions and feelings and all. A computer is a tool. My laptop, even though I am more invested in my laptop than any other element in my entire life, it's actually an extension of my body. But it's nothing. I can just smash it on the floor and buy another one, and it would be the same situation. I mean, I used to love this word, but I can't even say it anymore. Like, it's fungible. My computer is fungible. I make digital videos and animations. It doesn't matter, how I make them are the tools, or like that's my pigment and my paint. So NFT is just a way to broadcast and communicate. Art is about communication. A Van Gogh masterpiece sitting in a closet or in a fucking Freeport isn't really fulfilling its role as art. It's in a vacuum. We exist like dogs in a dog park. We need to communicate and to, talk to each other and really share things. And this is just, NFTs make sharing digital. It's a revolution in which to communicate to other people, to share with people. I definitely do not believe in I have gotten in touch in real life with hundreds and hundreds of people that I've met in Instagram. Because it's funny because the tech world lives in Twitter and the fine art world in the past lived on Instagram. I could never reduce my thoughts into 140 characters. As you can see, I never shut up. So I only had to really make an investment of my time, like just what I need, another platform. But Twitter, if you want to speak to the digital people, you have to speak in Twitter. So, yeah.
Okay. So, no, this is all very entertaining and interesting. So, I don't mind you talking all the way through, to be honest. I can shut up.
I look better as a black rectangle.
Yeah, you're a black rectangle.
I like that.
No, I wanted to ask you something else that is kind of, tied to, obviously, part of also what you do is curation and curating. Like, what does curation mean, and where does it stand in this world? In NFT, I mean.
Well, curation is an art form. So a curator is someone who paints with artists. I've been a curator my whole career. In the beginning, I'll admit that it was mainly to get my own crap into an exhibition when no one else would take me seriously as an artist. And another thing I love about the tech art sector, the art world is very hierarchical and very non-democratic and very exclusionary. And like I said, it's all about access. So, I mean, I do many different things in life, all of things that are under the rubric of art and things I love under this umbrella. But the art world just thinks of me as a dilettante, someone who is, I mean, I dealt art to make a living, because until NFTs, I couldn't make a living selling my art. I'm still hustling and struggling to do so, but I made more money in art in 5 minutes than I made in the previous 30 years. So I curated to situate my own work in the context of my peers. So, but again, like, curating is an art form unto itself. So whether you're curating NFTs on a platform, whether you're curating an exhibition of NFTs, paintings, sculptures, or any old damn thing, or a mix of all the above, curating should be about connoisseurship, which is a dying phenomenon in aesthetics, which is a strange thing to think about. Because in the art market, most people buy art with their ears rather than utilizing the organ, which you would have thought they would, their eyes. People just buy what's hot, what's trendy, what their friends are buying, etc. So I think, you know, curatorial work in the best sense is employing some aesthetic criteria or conceptual criteria to put together a group of works, artists, to coexist, to feed off of each other, to create a dialogue that is beyond, you know, just, it's like a multiplex in a movie theater, that it's different output from different artists that exist together for a period of time and create different meanings when the works are displayed amongst each other, whether it's on a digital platform or in a gallery.
And, you know, in a way, like I was having some conversations around curation, and it's like, you know, what does it take to be a curator?
What does it take? Stupidity.
Yeah, like
it takes absolutely nothing. It's you could be an artist. I mean, you have a license. There's no, you know, you don't have to train to be an art advisor, an artist, or a curator. I mean, it takes just the desire to pursue such a thing. There's absolutely no, you know, you can do whatever you want in the world other than fly a plane and perform heart surgery or get in front of a judge and argue a case. So there's no, you know, there's no accreditation, there's no licensing, and there's no rules.
And I wanted to get your thoughts on something that happened in the last 2 days, which is the Sotheby's auction with PAC.
I mean, I thought it was intriguing. At first, I was very dismissive. I mean, I'm not terribly familiar with the work of PAC, which I hear is a husband and a wife, was the last I heard, because it's an anonymous artist or artists. And I've seen some of the revolving donuts that look a bit screensaverish to me. So, and then I saw a cool piece, the titles, the series where the art was the same. The only thing that varied was the title. So there was the cheap, the expensive, and like the unaffordable, or whatever it was called. When the price, you're buying the same thing, but the price, the only thing that varied was the amount of money you'd have to pay. And those are interesting conceptual takes on the commodification and commercialization of art, and digital art in particular. And I think like this project of the fungible, non-fungible cube was very interesting. And in a way, like, I think it's a lot more interesting than this drop that Damien Hirst is about to do, where he made up this lie that he made 10,000 artworks and put them in a vault 5 years ago before he knew what crypto was. That's fiction. So I think that, I mean, he's trying to create a Damien Hirst cryptocurrency for all intents and purposes, where there's 10,000 allegedly unique paintings on paper, which I'm sure his assistants are busy making right now. And then that's going to be sold on a new platform called Palm, which is a side chain and meant to be non-invasive on the environment. And it's sort of adjacent to ETH, created by Joe Lubin, who owns MetaMask. And I think the cubes, and buying 1 cube and then 5 cubes go into a 5 cube. And if you buy 10, they go into 1 cube with 10. And if you buy 50, it goes into 1 cube. It's an interesting conversation or exercise in the monetization of art. I mean, it's fascinating. And I mean, yeah. And then it's like insider trading. Like if you find out an artist is going to have a show at the Museum of Modern Art, you could buy the works ahead of the show and profit from the fact that there'll be an uptick in the value of the works. I have various friends in the tech sector, and it was known amongst a group of people that the prices of these cubes over the course of a 3-day drop were going to rise from 500 to 1,500. So, I mean, it's interesting, but I mean, yeah, I bought 10 cubes on day one. I'm not going to say I didn't, but I'm not going to get like a dedicated piece of hardware and look at my money cube. It's just money. So I find it interesting on an intellectual level. But I mean, you know, a lot of conceptual art has no aesthetic value, really. It's more about the idea. And I think this is a particularly interesting idea. And I love, like, when I wrote my first article for ArtNet, I had 1,000 DMs from people demanding, basically, not even asking me, to get them on Nifty Gateway, to get them on Super Rare. People asking me to get them on platforms that I wasn't even on. People saying, like, I remember one direct message came from this person. She said, "I'm a painter in Iran. Can you get my work into an NFT?" I mean, it's just the most ridiculous thing in the world. And then the gallery in Cologne wrote me a DM and said, "We're interested in doing an NFT show. How do we do it?" So I'm like, "Well, you hire me to do it." And that's how this whole exhibition started. And I was so attracted I used to be petrified of this art dealer, Christian Nagel. He's a legendary, stalwart in the conceptual art field for the last 30 years. And I would see him at all the art fairs and literally be frightened of him because he was so imposing and very dour and never smiling. And then like they were game to let me organize this exhibition. And for me, like the gallery is one of the most interesting artists in this show, because just the fact that this super conservative, yet radical conceptual art gallery is even entertaining such a concept, that to me is the most important part of the show. Yes, there are great artists in the show. Yes, there'll be great art in the show, but the most concrete or tangible import for me is the fact that this show is happening in one of the great European contemporary art galleries that are embracing the notion of NFTs as a meaningful part of our art lives for now and in the future.
And what do galleries in New York City or, other galleries say about this? Like, is it something that you're seeing more galleries approach, or are they still very kind of standoffish in a way?
Well, a good example is that the Swiss artist who's 43, I think, Urs Fischer, he was previously showing with Gagosian Gallery, the biggest in the world. They have a gallery open 24 hours a day in 100 different time zones across the universe, probably even on Mars at this point. And Urs Fischer was releasing a group of 500 NFTs with Makerspace, curated by an ex-Christie's specialist, Loic Guzer, who has an auction app called Fair Warning, where he's been selling one hot piece of contemporary art over the past year every week. And he decided to sell the first NFT in this 500-long series by Urs Fischer on his auction site. When Gagosian Gallery found out, they didn't want to have involvement in the project and refused to support it. Larry Gagosian is a genius and one of history's foremost art dealers, filled with innovation over the years, but I guess he's 75 and this wasn't attractive to him, this idea of sharing the project with Makerspace. And anyway, so Urs Fischer had his drop. The estimate was like $100, and it went for $98,000, the first one. And then he dropped Gagosian and is having an NFT exhibition at Pace Gallery. Pace is one of the top biggest galleries for contemporary art in the world. And they opened Super Blue, which is a series of experiential art centers where you pay a big admission fee and you see things projected onto the walls, and it's all about the experience and not about the possession of ownership of a work of art. So that gallery has long had a relationship with like Mark Andreessen and his wife, fostering these tech people to collect art as we used to know it. And as a result, the gallery is very open-minded and has a very proactive stance in relationship to technology. So Urs Fischer left his gallery and moved to Pace. I guarantee you, we'll make a little bet, within 6 months, Gagosian Gallery releases an NFT from one of their artists. Guaranteed.
So you think that more, so if you had to, think about what the future for NFT is and how like gallerists and other like auction houses, you think that there's more that are going to come in and are going to lean into this?
Everyone will do it. As soon as the money, the ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching of the cash register sounds, then all of a sudden everybody wants action. So, I mean, it's a pretty primal urge. It has nothing to do with expanding any theoretical or conceptual or technological phenomenon whatsoever. It's all about the dough, all about the, what do you call it? Slang for money, but it's all about the cash. So, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of hopefully ETH2 will be coming soon. That will be less damaging, less intensive energy consumption. And I also think there'll be like with 3D printing and holographic projections, like when Tupac Shakur went back on the road touring. And I think you'll be able to project digital 3D artworks in your living space. I think the next kind of field for innovation will be in the display of digital works. So, I know that like even Mark Cuban started a site called Lucky so people could showcase their collections. And I think that there'll be more and more attention played towards, I was going to show you the room I'm in, but I'm sitting in a room with 100 pieces. I could reboot. But we'll
do it.
You sure? Okay.
Yeah, if you want to jump out and in.
All right, so let me just start a new window and see if I can do it without losing you.
Okay. I also, I don't know if you want to know about this, but I just went to see your piece with Jerry, and you have a bid of 20 ETH.
Hang on. I don't even care, and I don't even know what that means. Feedback. Hello? Or I think I went to the old one. It was like a Sonic Youth concert. Hang on.
Yeah, so we still can't see you.
You're lucky. That's the gift horse.
Maybe try again, or if not.
I'm trying one more time. Otherwise, people are just going to get bored and they're going to leave.
Okay.
One.
Nope.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So stupid. I mean, that's a problem. In 100 years, in 50 years, when our phones are embedded into our brains, we're still going to be walking down the street saying, hello, 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 can you hear me? We are doomed. There's always going to be problems.
Sorry, you... Oh, no.
Yay! Oh, but now you can't hear me.
No. We can hear you.
Okay.
We can hear you.
Oh no. Are you recording this?
No, well, it's live, so it's.
Oh, I see.
I guess it stays on Twitter.
I see. What else can I do?
You were saying about where you're standing, where you are at the minute, and what you have like in your is it your studio or your home?
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm losing my mind. So.
Yeah. Wow.
I had my office in London in a converted garage. I had a car under my desk. And for 15 years, I had no windows, only art. So for me, it's enough. I love looking at art. There have been studies that art has medicinal, medically trackable, positive impact on health, where it reduces anxiety, blood pressure, stress, depression, like having a golden retriever. So I love to, and I've been making digital art my whole life, but I'm kind of a prude when it comes to collecting art. And you can see I'm a hoarder. I'm buried with stuff. So, I shouldn't even say it, but like having art that needs to be turned on, I am not averse to it, but it's less practical or easy. So I think like in the future, we're going to see more and more apparatuses to live with. I should be able to live with my digital art in the same way that I live with drawings, paintings, posters, prints. And that's something that I'm really looking forward to. Already they have these little plexi display devices where you can upload videos to, and I'm excited about I'm already making some art about those things. And so I think that that's something to look forward to be able to coexist with NFTs and digital art of any variety in a visceral way that I am looking at. My desk is filled with sculptures, and so I think that that's something that we really need to focus on in the future, to have these ways of living with digital art in this that's not altogether terribly different from hanging a painting.
And what do you think about the argument, I guess, that is being made with, people kind of like buying art for, speculative investment?
I'm making a video. Let me just tell you something. Art and money have been screwing for thousands of years. Art and money fuck forever. They don't sleep in the same bed because there really should be a separation. Like I said, like you mentioned, my NFT, I don't care how much. If it sold for $100, it would be a little embarrassing, but it's not my art, and we're giving money to meaningful charities. I lost a child to suicide, and it's something that is a stigma and needs to be spoken about, and to raise awareness, and to have, it's a charity NFT. It's almost like, I call it charity NFT. I don't even call it an NFT. So if we could create, I've heard of, people trying to help communities through technology and NFTs. So a charity NFT is a phenomenon that's going to help people. That's really cool. That's fantastic. So what was your question again?
Speculation and NFTs.
About speculation. Rembrandt was so infatuated with money that his assistants would paint coins on the floor in an effort to get him to pick it up and put it in his pocket. He had the biggest house in Amsterdam and a huge art collection. And then there was an economic downturn and he went bankrupt. So he couldn't even make a painting and sign it in his own name. He had to use his wife's name because his accounts were garnished by the tax authorities. And Albert Durr, a Renaissance painter, said, why should I make another painting when I can make a print and make so much more money from it? And Rubens, another Renaissance old master, was like stamping gold with his name on it. Artists, this is it's such a misconception to think that, of course, the levels of money exchanged for art has escalated radically and dramatically there's been more growth in the art world in the past 25 years than the previous 250 years. So, and you think about Bitcoin, really almost out of thin air, a whole new stream of money has been created, literally. So now, another thing which I think is so funny, like there's been $1 trillion plus created since 2007. I mean, there's been like $1 trillion lost in 2017, but then the markets come back like mad. And now like the US government is developing their own crypto. So all like Warren Buffett, the famous legendary 80-something-year-old investor, has said that, you know, Bitcoin is stupid. I mean, that's a stupid thing to say. And I think the funny thing driving the NFT market in the recent past has been the fact that all of this wealth that's been really created practically out of thin air with a few computer chips as an intermediary, you've had nothing to spend this money on until recently. And now all of a sudden, people have had this pent up urge or this pent up kind of, they have all this money sitting there. And if you're buying crypto stuff with crypto, there's no ostensible taxable transaction happening. So, this is now you're seeing like the floodgates open. And for the first time, in a meaningful, substantive way, there's a lot of stuff you could do and purchase with your cryptos that have been escalating in value like mad. So there has been flipping in art. There's been speculation in art since it came off the wall of the cave. This is nothing new. And the fact that the artist benefits for the first time in history in perpetuity or on a regular basis, how could you even raise your hands up and complain about speculation when ultimately the person who should benefit the most is benefiting the most? The damn person that made the thing in the first instance. The artist. Yeah. So look, I don't really care. If someone I wish my art would be valuable enough for people to do disgusting, greedy, speculative trading, and I would take that as flattering. People are people. People like to make money. People like to steal money. I mean, I can only imagine that there's a Bell's curve of morality and ethics in life. It's human nature to make stuff. It's human nature to break stuff. It's human nature to have wars, unfortunately. But like if everyone was an artist, like now they could be with NFTs, at first I thought it was kind of annoying that everyone and their grandmother was making NFTs, but now I think it would actually make the world a hell of a much better place once they resolve some of the issues with the environment. If everyone was an artist, then they could stop being hateful, racist scumbags the whole time. So maybe there's something quite extraordinary to happen in this moment where actually, for the first time, everyone can be an artist without having to be trained traditionally, so to speak. I'm not running for NFT president, by the way. I just sound that
way. So I think one last question or thought for you. NFTism. What's that? Did you copyright the word? Like, what's happening with the word?
I made up that word, but again, like I'm no fucking genius, so it's not like anyone else would have or probably has before me. I did register it with the naming thing on ETH, or someone did it for me as a favor without me even knowing. I don't care. The whole point is that I believe like the conceptual artist Richard Prince, who's the king of appropriation, he made a great comment that just stuck into my head. I think I'm going to steal it and make an art piece out of it. And he said, it's all a free concert right now. We're sitting there, people complain about the lack of privacy on the internet and on the web. What a bunch of crock of crap, because like we're all pulling our pants down and sharing everything. And then you go and complain, I own that. I mean, it's wrong if someone opens an account with my name on. It's funny because I'm doing a documentary about the art world with this amazing director, Chris Smith, who did the Fire Festival and the Tiger King. And he said to me while he was interviewing me the other day after Jerry Saltz left, he goes, but Jerry's made so many NFTs already. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, look, and he sends me a link, and someone opened an account with the official Jerry Saltz OpenSea account, and it had reproductions of like Mondrian, Monet, all of these Canaletto, and it was just like 80 NFTs with jacked art by famous artists with Jerry's name on it. It was pretty hilarious, but like I thought it was going to be quite damaging if word got out that there's a fake account. So I immediately called Kevin Abash, who just did the release with OpenSea, and I got in touch with the founder of OpenSea and said, can you give me a little help? Somebody has pirated Jerry's account. Like that kind of behavior is wrong. But when you take something, I have had my art copied by other artists since the 90s. There's an artist, Terrence Coe, who's a well-known performance artist. and he had a digital alter ego way back in like the mid 90s. And he took one of my images, which was a computer print of a singer in her coffin, Selena, that I embellished with paint. And I was flattered. Like, I don't care. If I put something out there, and I mean, if you just take what I did exactly as it was and put your name on it, okay, that's a little bit annoying. But like, if you take what I've taken or said or done and changed it, or I don't care. I just don't care. It's all a free concert now. That's what Richard Prince said. And who's deep in the middle of a lawsuit over him taking an image from Instagram that was originated as a photograph of Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth, and Richard Prince. Sorry. And Richard Prince took this image and printed it onto a canvas from the screenshot, which is a brilliant act. And it was incredible because the judge said in the case, because I'm friendly with Richard a bit, and I want to write an article about it. And he showed me some of the depositions, and the judge goes, "You copied this photograph from Instagram." And Richard Prince goes deadpan, like, "I don't know that was a photograph. It's an image radiating from my phone. I didn't copy a photograph. I copied a post, a public post by someone." And then the judge holds up his painting and holds up the original photograph, and he goes, "These are virtually indistinguishable." And Richard goes, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "It took me 3 years to find the canvas where the ink from the inkjet printer would sit just right in the canvas and the way it pulled on." So, I mean, anyway, it was funny because when Jerry first posted this thing that we're doing together as we speak, it's his first 10,000 Instagram posts. And neither Jerry nor it occurred to either of us that, his Instagram is largely comprised of artworks of other artists, both dead and alive. I mean, whenever he posts, he's posted my art without attribution or credit in the past. And that annoyed me because he has such a gigantic following. He's probably the most democratically read and with the widest audience critic in the history of art. And I would just send him a message and say, "Can you put my name on it?" And he would. But like, it never occurred to me that this was a copyright breach of great enormity. And in the end, it's done. So I took the image of Richard Prince, his Instagram painting of Kim Gordon, and I changed it where Jerry is saying, "Hey, Richard, look at my NFT." And then I add a comment, And then like the photographer who took that picture, I had minted my take on Richard's painting and his take of the original photographer of the original Instagram post, and I posted it on OpenSea. And the same day that I was getting the pirate account of Jerry taken down, OpenSea called me up and said, "We have to take down your fake Richard Prince Instagram artwork," which I had changed and customized or whatever, but that was taken down at the same time. So I love the fact that this is an intellectual cesspool, NFTs and the internet. I love that right now, it's a wild west. There's no rules, there's little regulations. One guy was going around selling NFTs in collaboration with a series of major international museums, but he never got the permission from any of the museums that he said he did. So his thing was removed, and then he just turned around and lied and said it was an art project, which it wasn't. So I think it's exciting. There'll be good things, there'll be bad things, there'll be crimes, there'll be misdemeanors, but it's not going to be uninteresting, and it isn't so far. It's absolutely extraordinary. So you say, like, what does NFTism mean to me? It means this conversation from the beginning to the end is NFTism. You're talking about the social, political, economic, environmental, personal. It's just art in its craziest, most contemporary. Contemporary art is fucking contemporary, and NFTism is now happening as we speak. That's what it is. It's everything that you want it to be, good, bad, and in between.
Love that. I think that's a great way to end this conversation. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed it.
I learned not to touch my mic anymore. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Kenny.
Let me just ask you one thing. What do you do?
What do I do? Yes. I guess, the vertical, like the profile started back in summer of 2020. And I basically just documented what I was learning about, I guess, NFTism in a way. So, been kind of like talking to artists, like doing live interviews, doing, you know, a bit of like fun videos around art that I find that I like and I particularly enjoy, and yeah, just kind of documenting the space as
Experience.
it sounds interesting to me, I guess.
And what do you do for money, may I ask?
I work well, yeah, I work in tech. So I work in like creative partnerships. Yeah.
Amazing. Fascinating. See, this is an amazing thing that it's just like it enables people to do what they love and what they care. This is, I forgot, like probably the most important word, which is passion. And for me, this is just pure passion. End of discussion. And like you found a way to do what you love to do. That's what work should be, love. You know, and people to be able to find a way to make your work and your love combine is an extraordinary gift. And that's what I'm after.
I agree.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kenny.
Okay, bye.
Bye.